Hi everyone. Hello, my name is Alison Shapira and welcome to our RegTech Edge No Borders event on financial crime solutions. This is our first event for 2024, so we're very excited. In the spirit of reconciliation, the RegTech Association acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. In acknowledging country, we honour the resilience, wisdom and innovative spirit of Indigenous communities. Innovation is woven into the fabric of Indigenous cultures, so let us tread this land with reverence, recognising that every step we take is on land that holds stories, memories and ancient knowledge. Welcome again. Since 2020, we've had over 20,000 people from more than 100 countries attend our programs, and we really appreciate this continued support that we see from our ecosystem. Today, we have 7 RegTechs presenting for our audience. That includes 208 registrations from 24 countries, 93 regulated institutions, 24 government regulators, 12 investors, and 65 RegTechs. So wherever you're joining us from, thank you and welcome. Today will be recorded and each registered delegate will receive the link after the event. Cameras and mics off please unless you are presenting, thank you. Any questions, please put them in the chat and don't be shy. There will be some polls coming up now and then and we'd really appreciate if you could answer them. Our presenters today have 5 minutes to present, so at the 4-minute 30-second mark, they will see my face come back onto the screen just as a visual reminder that they need to wrap up and they've only got 30 seconds to do so. Now it is my great pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Richard Lee, who will provide us with a quick overview on the current landscape. Richard Lee is an executive director at Cordamenta's financial crime team, where he works with businesses across a broad range of industries to assist in protecting them from financial crime. Richard has previously held executive roles with AUSTRAC, where he developed and implemented their education and outreach function. And prior to that, as a proceeds of crime and money laundering investigator with the Australian Federal Police. Over to you, Richard. Thank you.
Thanks, Alison, for that warm welcome, and hello to everyone online today. If I can go to slide 2, my agenda, I quickly want to talk about AUSTRAC's priorities, which were released last year, tranche 2 in the modernisation of the legislation around AML, and finally some of the things that we're seeing from our clients' experience of RegTechs. So let's move to slide 3 and the AUSTRAC priorities. AUSTRAC released its 2024 priorities shortly prior to Christmas. This is fairly new for AUSTRAC. They haven't been this explicit in terms of outlining what they are doing, what they do have planned. And it falls into line with what ASIC and APRA do, which is it's really pleasing to see. It is available on their website, obviously. I'm going to really skim over the top and highlight a few key areas which RegTechs may be impacted. Firstly, there's the first priority is what they call enduring priorities, and there's no real surprises here. Continuing to focus on businesses' ability to understand, mitigate and manage the MLTF risk, which is the cornerstone of the legislation, how they build their AML CTF programs to mitigate that risk. They're going to focus on reporting, in particular accuracy, timeliness and quality of reporting for international transfers, threshold transactions of cash of $10,000 or more, and suspicious matters. And of course, some businesses or many businesses use RegTech solutions for that. So you may see some activity there from some of your clients. And finally, the final enduring priority is high-risk sectors. A continued focus on the banking, gambling and remittance sector, which is also not a surprise as well. The second priority is around increased regulatory focus. They intend to increase the activities around the digital currency exchange sector, payment platforms, the bullion sector, and non-bank lending and financing industries. At the very least, I think what we potentially may see is more interest from those sectors, obviously, as they get regulatory scrutiny, and more interest in improving their AML CTF standards and RegTech solutions. So that's another area where other RegTechs may be more active going forward. Why is AUSTRAC focusing on those industries? Well, they say that those industries have had significant growth. There's concerns about their compliance levels, and AUSTRAC Intelligence and Partner Agency continue to have concerns. The third priority is around systemic, also serious and systemic deficiencies. AUSTRAC is to focus on areas where they've seen key failures occur and resulted in large penalties. The first one around board and executive accountability to maintain a culture of AML compliance. We could talk about that all day, but a few key points there. They say the less of the culture, the less of the chance in complying. And they point out compliance window dressing is something that they were looking for. So that's one area. Transaction monitoring programs, another area. Of course, again, RegTechs play a big part in solutions for businesses. Now, they highlight that a transaction monitoring program must be based on current MLTF risk and detailed processes to identify suspicious transactions, and they must have coverage of all designated services and delivery channels. Again, there may be, therefore, heightened interest in transaction monitoring by those targeted, and an opportunity for RegTechs to play their part in assisting businesses in avoiding these areas of concern. But the key thing there is risk changes, so transaction monitoring may or probably has to change with it. Another key area is outsourcing functions. They point out the business is still liable. They do outsource certain functions. They say the most common outsourced areas are program development, know your customer and TMP that they'll be focusing on. They say prior to outsourcing, businesses need to ensure the function being outsourced is in line with their risk appetite. They must undertake due diligence. Is the third party or RegTech have the technical expertise, training and knowledge to do what they intend to do? Is a third party provider, can they adapt and tailor their products to suit businesses? So quite possibly, RegTechs may see more scrutiny from their clients, so as the regulator puts more scrutiny on the businesses they regulate. The fourth one is continuous improvement, which is around the modernisation and tranche 2, which I'll talk about in a minute, and partnerships. They're going to continue their building strong relationships with overseas regulators and law enforcement, as well as ASIC and APRA. Now, the next slide there, slide 4, is around tranche 2 and modernisation. Now, for those who don't know, it's intended to increase the regulation from regulated entities from 15,000 to over 100,000 to include accountants, lawyers and real estate agents, and modernisation of the legislation. Now, Court have made a submission to the consultation in June, and we're waiting on the next round for consultation, which hopefully will be shortly. One area of interest to RegTechs, and we've suggested to AUSTRAC that they need to modernise its regulatory approach and what we're calling a networked approach. So moving away from a regulated bipartite approach to empowering third parties to work together in the fight against financial crime. Key areas, monitorships for enforcement, which we see overseas, a level of training accreditation for those involved in financial crime roles, a set of minimum standards for advisory services like ourselves. But specifically for RegTechs, we've suggested that the regulator play more of a role in certifying compliance solutions rather than their one-to-many approach. So typically, AUSTRAC would assess an entity and see some problems potentially of how they're using a RegTech solution, or there may be shortcomings in the actual product itself. What we would have suggested should happen is that the regulator play more of a role in working with the RegTech to develop the solution and certify it from the outset. So therefore, having the product being at a certain at an appropriate level before it hits the market. And our final point, I want to slide 5. I just want to talk about some of the things we've seen. The first one is the need for flexibility. AML CTF is risk-based, of course, and risk changes. If you think of the last few years, we've had the pandemic, which has forced criminals to change how they operate. More online use by the citizens around the world, people are tending to use more online products than cash. The emergence of cryptocurrency, and of course, we've seen fairly recently some of the concerns internationally around conflicts and economic downturn. So one of the things we do see is solutions that may not be flexible enough to adapt. One client I have at the moment has a transaction monitoring tool that has a broad suite of fairly rigid transaction monitoring rules. They're quite generic and doesn't really allow the flexibility to adjust or build their own. And going back to the AUSTRAC priorities, what they'll probably be looking for is transaction monitoring solutions that are able to adapt to the risk the business is facing. Next one is a lack of IT ability and challenges of multiple systems. Many of you may be dealing with compliance officers, risk officers and legal counsel of a business, and they may clearly know what they want to resolve, but they don't necessarily have the IT knowledge and just the knowledge to know that if you plug something in, it doesn't necessarily take all the problems away. Multiple legacy systems is another one I'm sure you've all seen, and it's something we see as well, that need to work into the one RegTech solution potentially. And sometimes a focus on costs rather than compliance, and senior personnel thinking that, a current Excel spreadsheet method of monitoring, for example, is all they need. In some cases that may be, but for many they may not. And the final point there is the rush to resolve, followed by tears. Businesses may be panicked by an area that they are not meeting as well as they should be. That could be coupled with regulatory activity within their sector or direct regulatory scrutiny. And they rush to find a solution, only to realise it doesn't sufficiently resolve their problem, and they will have potentially more cost and effort to get it right. And that's not always a good outcome for the solution provider as well, because all businesses will be quick to blame and potentially a reputational risk impacted. So that's a quick summary of the current landscape that we're seeing. As I said, if you haven't seen the priorities on the AUSTRAC website, please check it out, and stay tuned, hopefully, for some tranche 2 modernisation developments in the coming months. Thank you, Alison.
Thanks so much, Richard. That was great. I'd like to bring to the virtual stage our first presenter, which is Manoj from APLYiD. Over to you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for the intro. Next. So just a little bit of background about APLYiD, guys. Founded in New Zealand in 2018, and from there to now, we've really quickly grown into becoming one of the market leaders in digital onboarding solutions across Australia, New Zealand, and primarily UK. Next. Now, as part of that digital onboarding solution and how we've sort of led the market, we've built what we believe is a simple, intuitive experience. We've built a language that helps everyday people in society prove who they are. And that ties into KYC and AML and helping reporting entities meet their necessary obligations with the AML governance. So this is built around an out-of-the-box SaaS platform, which I'm going to show you today, but also has APIs that are hanging off at the back end of it as well. So there's about 3 key elements I'm going to show you today. One is that front-end KYC user experience of what everyday people have to go through to consume our service. Secondly is the back-end data insights and insights around the information that we provide around the legitimacy of that person. And then thirdly is the reporting piece as well. Next. So if we kick off, we'll see that it's a customer onboarding journey is what we really strive for. So what we've done and packed in is try to extrapolate as much data as possible with the least amount of data inputs provided by the individual. And what we've done is concatenated a set of steps that allows us to do that. So kicking off with some smart automation and pre-made integrations with address validation is one of the key modules. It's all done through a browser-led mobile phone experience. And then that ties into some great user experience, making it intuitive and easy. So taking a picture of the driver's license as an example, prompting that individual to do so. And then what we've done over the years is actually added in and extended our library of ID documents. We've got about 17,000 international ID documents across 220 countries globally. So every single template across every single state in Australia, for example, is covered. Whether it's take a picture of the back if needed or just take a picture of the front, it's all catered for in our service. The other smarts to our service is what we're leading on is extracting that data off the card and pre-populating in an online form. So what we want to do is ensure that the data integrity is at the all-time high and allowing individuals to confirm that the data that's being copied back is theirs. And then the final part is actually just a short selfie video. So again, just positioning their person to prove who they are by taking a quick snapshot of them and getting them to smile. Real simple user experience. So cadence around this onboarding journey in terms of market feedback, it's about 60 seconds to 90 seconds, just allowing everyday people to prove who they are without being physically present anywhere and doing it all remotely. Next. The second key pillar that I want to show you is the actual results. So this is the data insights and dashboards that we provide back to the company as a reporting entity to give you peace of mind around the legitimacy of the customer. So you'll see here that We provide key pieces of information around the AML component, name, date, birth address, and PEP checks, making sure that that person exists in society, right through to doing biometric checks, matching that person's face to the image of the document, and then more importantly, proving that the document is real, because as we've known, that can be manipulated, falsified, or tampered in some way, shape, or form. So our job is to prove that authenticity of that document as well. Next. And then the third part is the reporting component. So we give you a full summary of results in a PDF report, either that's consumed in our out-of-the-box SaaS platform or via APIs. But at the end of the day, once you consume that information, we take a stance on deleting that data 1 hour from that point onwards. So data sovereignty and protecting your own customers' data in our system is important. And so we delete that, which is part and parcel of our journey as well, in terms of the service that we offer. Next. Last part is just a use case. So we've got a little brief use case or case study around one of our clients, Convera, and how they use APLYiD, primarily in the money remittance space. So, faster onboarding, providing a digital lens on their business, removing manual paper-based approaches, and that's allowed them to accumulate more accounts over a period of time. So again, massive benefits and help them streamline their business through a great user experience. Next. And this is just a quick snapshot of some of the brands and logos that we support. So again, a big focus on financial services, from banking, all different tiers of banking, to finance companies and personal and automotive categories. That's our major sweet spot in terms of where we operate in primarily across that portfolio. Next. And just the final slide, guys. So please feel free to contact me, or if you've got any questions, my New Zealand number's there, my Aussie number's there, depending on your location. Would be really keen to help out and assist with any upcoming projects that would value and have merit in what we do at APLYiD. And that's me.
Thank you so much, Manoj. That was great and within the time, so thank you so much. Over to Jacob from DataZoo now. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Alison. And thank you all for your time this afternoon. My name's Jacob, as Alison mentioned, and I'm the head of marketing for DataZoo. Next slide, please. DataZoo is a modern identity solution, and we work with some of the largest global companies. We help these financial institutions verify millions of their customers while also scaling their operations globally and helping keep their customer data secure. And as you would all know, all online businesses must manage fraud, from onboarding to login and transaction monitoring. Navigating fraud is a part of customers opening accounts online. And while you can't completely eliminate that risk of fraud, the best way to manage it is to try preventing it from happening in the first place. And this requires a multi-layered approach to detection and prevention during onboarding. Next slide, please. So that's why we built the IDUX ecosystem, a suite of tools that give you the ability to build a bespoke verification flow unique to your business and your assurance needs. These tools work seamlessly together to ensure a fast and frictionless onboarding experience for legitimate customers, while also helping to prevent fraudsters from opening an account. To illustrate how our ecosystem works, I want to compare it to a jigsaw puzzle today, and one that would increase in size and complexity based on the level of assurance that you require. Next slide, please. So for situations requiring low assurance, such as opening an account with limited functionality, let's envision it as a 10-piece puzzle. The puzzle is quite straightforward, and it doesn't require much time for the user to complete. But when we break it down, each piece of the puzzle represents a different data source that you're utilizing for verification. And just like a puzzle, we're allowing you to arrange it in the order that works best for you. So once a user provides their name, address, date of birth, or ID number during your onboarding process, we then verify this data within 2 seconds directly against data sources, such as credit bureaus, utility, or government databases. And this is instead of going through multiple other vendors, like most that are dependent on third-party integrations. And even though this puzzle might seem small, it offers the fundamental layers for account opening compliance, fraud prevention, and identity verification, which is what we'll then build on. Next slide, please. So on top of the 10-piece puzzle, you start looking at introducing additional indicators, and these are based on other common data elements entered during the onboarding phase. The idea here is that we're making it harder for bad actors to bypass your fraud prevention while making sure we don't impact legitimate users. These new pieces, such as watchlist screening and mobile and email intelligence, are adding depth to our puzzle. So we're actually combining multiple signals to help you determine the user's risk level. And as a result, we start to see the puzzle become more complex and one that consists of 100 pieces. Sorry. Next slide. However, we can take this one step further with a 1,000-piece puzzle. This onboarding flow provides the highest level of assurance, and that's when a real-world identity exists and that the user claiming the identity is that true owner and genuinely present in the process. So on top of completing the low and medium steps, it involves capturing and verifying the authenticity of their government ID document and then using biometric verification to match their photo ID with a selfie of the user while testing for liveness. And whether we're talking about a 10-piece or a 1,000-piece puzzle, it can seem like an integration nightmare, and it's the way many major identity providers operate and expect you to operate. However, our ecosystem was built to help you break free from these complexities of legacy providers. Next slide, please. And that's through one global integration. Our ecosystem brings together everything you need to onboard and verify your customers or business partners, from data and document verification to biometric authentication and fraud detection. The IDUX ecosystem is taking the complexity out of these multi-layered flows, and we're providing you with the sufficient data points to help you make appropriate risk-based decisions. Because just like a puzzle, every piece matters, and even if you're just missing one, it can leave that picture incomplete. Next slide, please. So if you're ready to see a difference, you can join some of the world's leading brands that leverage our IDUX ecosystem to reduce their fraud and increase their match rates. Make sure you reach out to our team today and see what you can do with DataZoo.
Thank you so much, Jacob. Another like a first, prize for you for staying within the time too. Thank you so much. I'd like to now pass over to Gary from Encompass Corporation. Thanks, Gary.
Thank you, Alison. Thank you, everybody, for your time. My name is Gary Clark here in Sydney and part of Encompass Corporation. We've been in this KYC space for nearly 10 years now, founded out of Australia, and support global tier 1 banks in digitalizing and automating their KYC processes. And we have customers like Morgan Stanley, HSBC, Deutsche Bank, and locally ANZ and NAB, utilizing our platform to deliver that change. Next slide, please. We at Encompass are all about delivering the full picture to our customers and fast, and it's to give a holistic view configured to their own requirements, sitting within their own approved data sources, to be able to automate the generation of a corporate digital identity. So what do I mean by a corporate digital identity? That is an amalgamation of publicly available data, be that a wide array of stock exchanges, registries, regulatory information, and premium business data providers. But as well as that, now with recent acquisitions we've made in the market, is the ability to automate the generation of private data through improving customer outreach and the development of secure portals to minimize the impact on the end customer and all the pain and frustration they feel of having to provide documents several times to banks when conducting their KYC onboarding or a refresh. Next slide, please. So a CDI, a corporate digital identity, is based on the automated search of the global public data sources that we have available within the platform. It combines that with customer outreach, automating from that missing private information, be it on trust deeds or contained within client docs. We have our own unique entity resolution technology that matches and merges data on the fly in real time. All of these are driven by APIs. This is not a database that needs to be updated and is cached, but is happening in real time to be able to deliver that automated experience. Within that, we're pulling from all of those various data sources and combining those to generate the corporate ownership structure, drilling down to whatever level of UBO discovery is required by the bank. And or telling the platform to stop when it's gathered enough. That can now be consolidated in with other systems. So we have a strong integration capability. We partner alongside the leading CLMs and CRMs to mean that when we generate the corporate digital identity, we've collected the public data, we've collected the private data, and we've generated that profile with the ownership structure and all of the supporting documents. That can be easily ingested into the bank's tools and systems, be it to leverage against internal data or to populate CLMs in the correct places. And all of that then means it's a digital profile that can be refreshed frequently. So as we move towards a perpetual KYC model, you have all of your core data attributes in there. It's all from approved sources, and it can be easily refreshed to check for any pertinent changes, and that can then feed into decision-making tools to action some other processes. Next slide, please. And this is another look at that, right? So it's building that KYC profile in real time with no human involvement. The levels of STP we're able to achieve come from our ability to match and merge that information on the fly. So you're returning all of your company information, you're getting the source documents within there. So it's all from the approved third-party place. You have your corporate hierarchy that can be interrogated, further searches conducted, filtered to ensure that the information that the analysts need to review is pertinent to them, all with the full audit trail to show compliance that the same process has been followed the same way every single time. And then we see an improvement in QA rates, reduction of errors. There's less manual intervention required. And all of that tied back to where we sourced these data points from. Next slide, please. This is a case study that I'll share with the group, but it is from Santander and speaks, as a real world example of type of benefit our CDI is able to deliver to a tier 1 bank. They have demonstrated more accurate KYC, improved efficiency with the 80% of the effort in onboarding being removed, and ultimately driving down their onboarding time from 12 days to 2 days. Next slide, please. That's my contact details there. Please get in touch if you're interested in learning more about how we're supporting global banks with their KYC automation journey. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Gary. That's great. And now I'd like to introduce Amana from FNA.
Thank you, Alison, and hello, everyone. Hello from Jakarta. My name is Amana, and I'm the head of analytics and client success in Asia for FNA. I think we can go to the next slide, please. So FNA is a software company. We are based mainly in London, and we also have 2 other entities in Spain, Barcelona, as well as in Tampa, US. We have 2 data science hubs. One is in Colombia, Bogota, and another one is in Indonesia, Jakarta. So I think you can see some logos here on the slide. So we work mainly with 4 different sectors. One is with central banks, supervisors, regulators. Another sector is with payment systems operators. The third sector that we have been working with is on the national security defense departments. And finally, the final sector that we have been working with is the commercial banks. So our software is used by these institutions to uncover hidden connections and also anomalies in large complex data sets, to predict the impact of stress events, and also to optimally configure financial system and infrastructures. So there are different use cases in which FNA are being used. So supervisory technology is one of them. And then also recently we worked with payment systems, central banks, in order to understand about frauds, in particular those frauds related into payment systems. I think we can move to the next slide to provide some context into the type of frauds that I'm going to talk today. So we are now already probably in this room that billions are lost to fraudsters globally every year. And at FNA, what we care most is the frauds coming from the innovation in payments. So faster payment system, for example, you probably are aware that several jurisdictions have been introducing faster payment systems, 24/7 payment system, retail faster payment system in the country. This will bring much faster payments, but at the same time will also bring some faster frauds into the system. And then at FNA, what we're trying to do is to help regulators and industries as well in the country to combat these types of frauds and scams risks that actually emerge from the innovation in the payments. We can go to the next slide. So our proposition is quite unique, I would say, because what we are trying to push here is the idea that we need a national infrastructures to combat fraud and scams. Why it is the case? Because once we saw in the real data, all the onward milling activities are usually taken place cross banks, and then it'll be very hard and difficult if each individual bank or case officers at individual bank will try to investigate or follow the money isolatedly within the bank itself. So we need to have national infrastructures in order to do that because of these cross-bank activities. So the stakeholders that might be relevant for this type of national fraud portal would be banks, for example, because they can provide new labels, fraud reports, on-us payments data. Payment system and central banks will be also very, very much important as well in this particular scheme because they will provide off-us payments data. Law enforcement, FIU, also financial exchange crime, for example, also will be very relevant for this type of infrastructures because they can provide fraud reports into the system. So next slide, please. So our second unique proposition is that we are using a technology that we call as a graph AI, where we combine network features with machine learning. Why it is unique? Because we don't need any personal identification information from the customer accounts. What we need is only 5 different data fields: date, time, account, sender, account receiver, and then also the volume of the payments. And we can generate more than 100 network features based on that 5 basic features and train our model such that we are having accurate methods for fraud detection and risk scoring using Graph AI. So the solution itself consists of 2 different components. So on the left-hand side, you see FNA money trails that will provide abilities for the institutions, both industry as well as regulators, to track and trace the fraudulent fund movements in real time across the whole financial system. And the second side of the solution is on the right-hand side, you see FNA fraud API there. And the idea is to provide real-time fraud API to help banks to stop the right payments. And final slide, please. So if you would like to understand more about the practical demonstration, understand about the concept in further details with respect to more complex stakeholders that I previously showed you, please get in touch with me and I would be happy to support you and share more stories to you. Thank you very much, Alison. I hope I'm still under the correct.
You are. Well done. Everyone has been today. I'm very, very, very impressed. Thank you, Amana. That's fantastic. And now I'd like to hand over to Ollie from Jade Third Eye.
Thanks, everyone. And hi, I'm Ollie Hodges, the head of product from Jade Software. Firstly, I'd like to thank RegTech for putting on the event and to all the attendees for giving me the opportunity to talk to you. I'm here to talk about Jade Third Eye, a SaaS solution that we're providing to our customers to help them meet their AML and CFT needs. Firstly, I wanted to give you a brief overview of the Jade, the company. Next slide, please. So Jade is a software company with our iconic Australasian business with local support and a global reach. Jade is a technology company at its heart, and our primary driver as a business has always been to liberate people with technology. We've got a long history of achieving this over the last 40 years. In particular, in the last 12 years, we've been developing and continue to evolve Jade Third Eye, the application I'm here to talk to you about today. Can I go to the next slide? So I'm aware we've got a diverse audience today and obviously many different industries. I just wanted to briefly touch on the slide to just highlight a few of the customers that we work with. That helps to show that Jade Third Eye is a global solution tailored for our customers and able to operate in multiple different regions and industries. This enables us to serve customers across New Zealand, Australia and the United Kingdom and in many different industries and making sure that they get the solution that they need that meets their needs based on our abilities to configure for them. Next slide, please. Cool. So this slide is to show the entirety of the Jade solution in one brief slide. But then what I wanted to do is just kind of take a moment to share some experiences that we're able to provide our users and how we can assist them in doing their job. If if people were to choose Jade Third Eye, we can help making comply simple through taking them through a journey in our system. We've got a dedicated local support team in all of the regions that we operate in. So this means that when you need help, you take comfort in knowing that the team assisting you in your region and across things that are happening in your region and understand your business and the environment you operate in. We understand that working in financial crime isn't always black and white. In particular, our recently launched case management solution enables our users to dive into deep investigations into items that are happening in the grey, where they're able to assign the a particular user to a piece of work. This highlights the ability to see who's handling an investigation. With our case management solution, as the case grows, the more you know, building out a timeline of what's happening and when it is happening for your customers and why it is you're looking into it. You're able to link other customers, alerts, reports, and even entire cases together to enable your investigation to build out a web of interactions. We store evidence right there on your case, so providing ease of access for the investigator themselves and anyone else involved in the investigation. As you come to your conclusion, individual review and approve stages enable you to seek and gain validation from other staff members and managers that the investigations come to the right conclusion. With our SMR reporting feature, when needed, you can jump straight from an investigation to submitting an SMR to AUSTRAC. The more complex the case, the more time we can save you. Our specialised data mapping enables you to have up to 85% of the SMR report completed at the click of a button, providing you and your team with more time to focus on the critical elements involved in that report, such as getting the grounds for suspicion right and taking the time to really review the content of your report before you ultimately make that submission. When ready, we have the ability to directly connect to AUSTRAC and enable the user to submit that SMR without leaving their AML tool. We understand the importance of proof in the world that you operate in, and that's why every single action taken along this journey that is happening within Jade Third Eye is audited. Each activity, alert, case, suspicious report, or all our other reports have a history there to see. Managers can track the user's activities through audit reporting for quality assurance and coaching purposes. Senior managers have the ability to monitor all the work happening in our dashboards, making sure that regulated reporting such as SMRs are completed with their required timeframe. Well, these are just some of the ways and journeys that we can help users take through our system. We do have a lot of other abilities that I'd love to talk about, but I've got to keep within the time, so I have to say next slide, please. Again, thanks very much for your time today. Hopefully you've enjoyed a brief introduction to some of the capabilities that we have within Jade Third Eye. If this sparked your interest, please feel free to reach out to me on the details provided. I'm always open to discussing how our solution can help you.
Thank you very much, Ollie. Now over to Mike from Napier. Thank you.
Thanks, Alison. Hi, everyone. Mike Murphy here from Napier AI. I'm the Regional Sales Director here, based in Sydney. Next slide, please. So to those of you that don't know Napier, we're a financial crime and compliance software company. We've been around for 9 years now. We've got over 240 customers, a team of 230 globally, and we work quite extensively through banking, asset managers, insurance, finance companies, payment providers, as well as gambling and gaming companies. Next slide, please. And through our conversations with financial crime teams on a daily basis, we understand you have a number of priorities, and core to those are meeting your regulatory requirements at the top of that list. Next slide, please. And it's challenging from the feedback that we get from our customers and the industry. Often teams will be quite bogged down with preventing and detecting money laundering, whether it's insufficient systems and controls, just not having the right culture and resourcing in place. Some teams are quite heavily focused just simply around reducing the risk of regulatory fines, whether that's having quite a reactive culture to AML, CTF, but also having quite manual reporting in place. And then other teams are very focused around trying to improve the efficiency of these programs. They might not have the right automation and workflow in place, and often they're spending too much time on low risk activities. Next slide, please. And from what the research says, there is a strong case for change, and the businesses that invest in these solutions, they perform a lot better than those that don't. They're a lot more efficient with their AML operations. They have a lower amount of alerts throughout their workflow. And this is all in the face of teams right across AML increasing in the last 12 months. Next slide, please. And as an industry, there's increasing challenges around how we manage payments, particularly real-time payments, long-term. As I mentioned before, teams are increasing as well, and the cost of compliance is increasing, but also some big challenges there around meeting future regulatory requirements and the current systems we have in place, and the concern that those systems will become legacy moving forward. Next slide, please. Where Napier helps with this process and some of these challenges is better prevention, detection of financial crime, strengthen controls through our leading detection rates as measured by AML analytics, reducing regulatory and reputational risk, and really moving the conversation away from not just knowing your customer, but really understanding your customer throughout the workflow. As far as our platform goes, we have a range of solutions all the way from screening, customer risk assessments, reporting, as well as onboarding. We've done this now for over 240 financial crime teams with some really big tier one organizations, but really some smaller financial institutions as well that are still very much at the early stages of the journey. That's all from me. If you want to find out any more, please feel free to get in touch via my email.
Thank you, Mike. That was well under. I was almost not even prepared to jump back on camera. Last but certainly not least is Paul from Simple KYC. Over to you, Paul.
Great, thanks, Alison, and pleasure to be sharing a bit about Simple KYC with you all this afternoon. Next, thanks, Nathan. So Simple KYC, look, we're an innovative RegTech SaaS business founded 2015. Sounds like there's a bit of a cohort of us around those years. And look, we've got a clear purpose of empowering corporations and organisations to forge and maintain safe business relationships with ease. So we apply our capabilities in data aggregation, data orchestration, data visualization, machine learning and AI to support a multitude of due diligence related use cases. Look, our roots are in financial crime. Many of our clients include tier one and two banks in Australia and in New Zealand. And we started in onboarding, particularly the onboarding of companies, trusts, partnerships, the hard stuff basically, before moving into adjacent areas of the customer life cycle as our relationships and products, etc., have expanded. So I'm just going to take you into a couple of example use cases. Next slide, thanks, Nathan. So first case study we've got is digital onboarding, where a major Australian bank put a challenge to us. They had an unreliable, time-consuming process, and it didn't guarantee compliance with regulations. Like the current process exceeded over 12 days to onboard and activate customers, many missteps along the way. And alongside this, look, we've seen other cases where it could be as many as 30 days end to end. So a lot of pain out there in the onboarding processes. So the solution, of course, was I say of course, but it's not easy, was a digital transformation, delivering best in market solution that instantly onboards business customers in a compliant manner. So utilising our suite of APIs, our solution pre-fills forms, aggregates and verifies data, identifies UBOs, and makes decisions against bank policy. So it enables them to make automated decisions based on predefined rules, achieving straight-through processing. So the outcomes of that include, significant reduction in operational cost. There's increased conversion rates because you're having less customers drop out, 100% adherence to policy, better customer experience. I mean, look, we've cut the onboarding time from 12 days to 7 minutes for 60% of their clients. So next one, thanks, Nathan. So the second case study here is around refresh. Now, refresh really relates to reporting entities that are going to bring their existing customer base up to comply with current regulations, and then they've got to maintain them in a compliant manner on an ongoing basis. So again, major Australian bank challenge was that they needed to do a full refresh of their client base to meet policy. They had manual processes, their data was outdated, dispersed across multiple systems, etc. And also it's just the sheer scale of the activity. Literally hundreds of thousands of customers in scope facing potential disruption for what for them would really be a grudge task. So the solution approach was really around leveraging straight-through processing again, while ensuring 100% adherence to policy. So to do this, we basically applied 5 key pillars. So firstly, validation. So again, we configure the bank's policy settings within the platform to ensure rules are met. Secondly, verification. So we compare and verify bank records against the latest reliable third-party data. And then third, decisioning. So we compare and refresh records to policy, again, enabling straight-through processing, so where everything matches your green ticks all along the way, reduces manual intervention and time. But we also allow for the management of discrepancies, which is pillar 4. So you've got to make those easy to manage. And we do that by providing a user-friendly GUI for those back office teams, full audit tracking, all of that type of thing, so that the teams can proceed with confidence about what they're up to and be regulator friendly and Line 2 friendly. And then our 5th pillar is digital, which enables digital outreach to support the collection of information from customers. So clearly that can be a piece that needs to be a part of the process. So the outcomes of our solution here, we range from sort of 20 to 40% reduction in KYC operating costs, with 25% reduction in data costs, and we pave the way for perpetual KYC, which really that means is the means to move from remediating customer records, that project of fixing stuff, to actually maintaining customer records on a go-forward basis. Next one, thanks, Nathan. And just a final case study here is around enhanced customer due diligence. Now, the challenge in this case was not actually in financial services, it was in the gaming and gambling industry, one of our clients there. So their due diligence processes of high-risk individuals exceeded 5 hours at times, often. So high costs, poor experience, and increased risk. So the solution really here was to aggregate high volumes of data, providing access to and automating comparisons against more than 30 data sources via a single platform. So the outcomes: reduced time to process, reduced risk, and reduced data costs. So simple KYC, we do data aggregation, orchestration, transform due diligence, and we'd love the chance to have a chat to you as well. Thank you very much, Alison.
Thank you so much, Paul. That was great. And thank you to all our speakers today. Now to wrap up, we have got a lot of events coming up over the next couple of months, and I really encourage you to go onto our website and check them out. Next Tuesday, the 27th of February, we have RegTech Matters 101, which includes an ASIC update and RegTech case studies. Throughout March and April, we have 2 more of our RegTech Edge No Border events. The first one is Regulatory Compliance Solutions, and then we have Conduct, Culture and Ethics. And on the 19th of March, we have RegTech Matters and the implications of ESG on the RegTech ecosystem. You would have also received an invitation this week to register for our Accelerate RegTech Global APAC events. Our 2024 themes will centre around protecting people, and topics for this year include cyber, scams, fraud, financial crime, applications using generative AI, data and privacy, and ESG. APAC is happening in April, UK and Europe will happen in late June, and the Americas will take place early October. You can register now for our free online APAC 11 April webinar, and you can also register for our 30 April face-to-face event, which is being held in Sydney. So that's all from me. Thank you again for joining us today. We really look forward to seeing you online again soon, and take care.